Me against me, right there. My own arena.
If you feel depressed but you still force yourself to do the workout, you're gonna end up feeling a little bit better about yourself because you at least did it even if you felt like shit.
Whenever you have goals, then you have priorities. And because you have priorities, you want to reach them.
This year, I decided that I was going to transform my body. So, for anyone who is trying to do something similar, what would you recommend for a guy trying to transform their body? What should they do like in the first 30 days to get the biggest gains?
A lot of people say they want to get gains, they want to get to where they want to be, they want to change themselves. I think it's all about you making that decision, picking up a note, writing it down. What's your goal? How long do you want it to take for you to be able to get there? Do you want to go about this goal yourself, or do you want to have someone help you out to get there? So now knowing all those things will help guide you towards how you want to move in order to be able to achieve that goal. And then for the rest of the month, it's probably going to be you. Do I want to train outside? Do I want a gym membership? Like little things like that. You have to start off with the basics in order for you to be able to dive into actually doing the work that is involved in it. Go full blown and go into tracking my macros, making sure I'm eating right. Or do I just want to train without having to do the diet portion, of which the diet portion matters a lot more. So, like, knowing all those things, those are things you need to confer with yourself first before you ever decide to jump into actually going to find a trainer or anything, because a trainer is also going to ask you these questions. It just depends on who you're working with. Like, if they actually know what they're doing, they will ask you these questions. What are your goals? How long is it going to take you to achieve those goals? Right? What have you done so far? Right? So you knowing having all these questions already answered by yourself will make it easier during the consultation process with a trainer or whoever you decide to work with to help you achieve your goals.
Yeah, I agree with that because at least for me, it has always been because I'm making a decision and I'm almost like forcing myself. And it comes back from like my identity. And that's something that I talk to people about, that if you don't shape that identity and you force it, then the other stuff, you won't be able to do it because it doesn't make sense. Like it's painful. Like whenever I go to train with you and I have to get up at 5:30, get ready, get to the gym, and then I have to hit the treadmill, like I don't want to do it. And the reason I do it is because I said I was going to do this. This is who I am. This is what I do. I'm going to do it. And then it gets easier. For me, like if I'm doing this video, I'm only interested in people who really want to do something amazing. If the guy's 300 pounds and he's trying to get healthy, like I don't care about that. I don't think I can affect that person. I'm looking for an effect in the person that is looking to be great. And like when I remember when I met you, I saw you and I was like I had to come up to you and ask you about like a shoulder exercise or something because I was like that's the physique that I want. I think a lot of people are kind of afraid of, a lot of men are afraid or ashamed to come up to another dude and ask, hey, like how do you do that? Or you know, I'm interested in that person that wants to be great. So in your case, your story is amazing and I want us to get into it. But for someone that is trying to move to like a higher level, not just get healthy, like in your case, you're competing, what is the mindset that you have to build for yourself when you're going into that competition to operate at that top level?
I think the first thing first is you have the mindset. You have to have the mindset of it's gonna hurt, right? Like it's never ever gonna be easy. It's gonna suck. But the at the end of the day, what you have to think about is not, oh, I'm quitting or not quitting. That's not what I think about. What I think about at the end of the day is where do I want to be tomorrow, right? And if what I'm doing today matters in who I'd have to be tomorrow, do I go ahead and keep up with this path, or do I just choose to go the easy route? A lot of people say, "Oh, don't quit" and stuff like that. I heard it a lot while I was in the military and stuff. But at the end of the day, I feel like the more you tell people not to quit, the more people want to quit. It's almost like reverse psychology, right? Sometimes the best option for you is not thinking about whether you're going to quit or not. Rather, the best option is setting a goal for yourself, because whenever you have goals, then you have priorities. And because you have priorities, you want to reach them. My short term goal is always bodybuilding, right? And whenever I'm able to achieve what I want with my short term goal, my long term goals basically just line up and start to play out the way I want them to play out. So having a short term goal is one way for you to achieve the big goals that you want to achieve. Whenever you look, like for example, right, the way bodybuilding works, in order for you to get to the biggest show possible, you have to win a small show, right? Either place first, fifth, or first, second, or third, in order for you to get to the bigger stage, right? That's the short term goal. The short term goal is getting that, win for you to be able to get to the bigger win. So having smaller priorities or small goals or short-term goals is a way for you to achieve your biggest goal. And when it comes to fitness, having a time frame of when you want to achieve this goal, making it a short-term goal or a long-term goal, is the best way to go. I'm not thinking about quitting or anything like that. So let's say it's someone who is 300 pounds, for example, and is like, oh, I want to get down, I want to get fit, and I want to get healthy, right? The first short term goal for you is, okay, for example, I want to lose 50 pounds in a year by December. I'm starting in January, right? That's your short term goal. Once you achieve that, you'll be more motivated to be able to achieve your long-term goals. It's just as simple as that. That's my perspective on how I go about bodybuilding for me. It-
I love what you said about determining your goals will set your priorities because at the end of the day, we all have the same amount of time. We have the same kind of physical average ability. I definitely agree with you that setting your priorities straight is what makes the biggest difference. So in your case, with this show, you just want to show this past weekend. I'm so proud of you. I saw you like work really hard towards that goal and you crushed it. And I knew you were going to win. But tell me a little bit about going into that show, the priority game that you had to play, and like how did it go for you to do the prep, to do what it was required, what was going through your head, and then what was going through in the actual physical like application, like the execution of, because like this is all nice and pretty, like oh get your goals straight, but then what goes into actually getting ready to win a natural bodybuilding show?
Okay, so with a natural bodybuilding show, I mean, a lot of people are gonna give me heat for this, but I think it's way more difficult competing in a natural bodybuilding show than it is competing in an enhanced show. The reason why I say this is because for an enhanced person, I could inject something into my body and it will go way fucking easy and I can get big, right? But for someone who is doing a natural bodybuilding show, I don't have no injections, no pills, nothing to actually help me to be able to manage my hormones or basically help me get big, right? Now, for my prep for this show, right, in my opinion, I feel like I lost three shows, right? The To a lot of people, it would be that I won. The reason I would say I lost is because I did not achieve the goal I wanted with for those three shows, which is winning my pro card. I placed for all three shows that I did prior to this one. I always placed first, second, or third, right? And like that's how it went all through. But at the end of the day, for this show, I wanted to win so bad. Like, I really, really wanted to win. Number one reason is because I was lost, right? I literally just got out of the military in January. I was still figuring out what I wanted to do. I got in school so that way I can fill the void that I felt. And then I got a job. I wasn't really working that much, but like at the same time, I just needed something to keep me occupied, something to bring back the motivation I need in order to be able to get through school, get through life, get through everything that is going on, right? I feel down a lot of the time, but planning to do this show and getting into it, I for the first time I got a coach to do my prep. Like shout out to Ashan. He was the person who coached me for this show. But he was pretty good because he himself is in the military as well, and he was able to listen to me, understand, what I needed, what are my needs, and how can he help me to get to the win that I want, that I needed to get for this year, and for me to be able to go along with everything else that is that I needed to accomplish, right? And then I got the prep itself, right? While I was in prep for my show, I get a bad news that I was diagnosed with arthritis in my spine. And like that was I was up here and it was like I just crashed down here, right? But at the end of the day, I still had my coach who had my back for this show. And I had people who motivated me. A lot of them were my clients, like you. And like I had doubts, will I be able to win? I'm constantly in pain. My body constantly hurts every single time. So like this prep was the hardest I've ever done, and it was the most disciplined I've ever been for anything. In my opinion, it was great. Did it suck? Yes, but at the same time, it still gives me, to me, I feel this sense of more self worth, and I feel this sense of accomplishment, right? But that doesn't mean I'm gonna settle for just this, right? So yeah, the it's just basically how my journey has been. It's been difficult, rocky, but just keep on pushing.
Tell me a little bit about how training helps you not feel lost anymore. Because I think what you went through is very difficult, but the sad part is that a lot of people feel lost too, even if they haven't been in the military, even if they haven't lived the bad experiences that you have lived. And I think there's power in your story and the mental like jujitsu that you do on a daily basis to like get yourself back refocused. So tell me a little bit about that. Like, what are you doing in your mind to deal with all of that and still find like a path and like just stick to it?
Granted, I still have to take meds every single day. By the end of the day, it's more or less I couldn't go for, I feel like anyone in life should have a specific discipline for themselves. Be it the gym, be it martial arts, be it anything fun. You can make it your own form of discipline. For me, I couldn't go for martial arts because I kind of have a lot of aggression. So that would not be a good idea.
Which is funny you say that because like ever since I met you, you're always so like calm. And then when you and I were talking, you're like, yeah, I'm very aggressive and I would like have this like desire to like fuck shit up. And I deal with that in my own ways.
Yeah.
I'm not trained to be a killer like you, so I wouldn't be able to create the same damage. But I feel like we, as men, we all have that inner like rage, anger with everything that could set you up. And at least for me this year, I've been learning how to deal with that a bit more. So
Yeah.
whenever you were telling me about that, I was like, yeah, I understand you.
Yeah.
Like, I might not have the same experience, but I still deal with that. And I think many men deal with that. It's just we don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
That we're afraid to seem
Weak. Yeah.
or too violent. Like for me, sometimes I'm afraid to say that or express that because I don't want people to think that I'm a bad person.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that you have pent up aggression doesn't mean you're a bad person or anything. Like, some people have it, but they just don't show it. Like for me, right? When I realized how far mine has gone. The first thing I did was to get into therapy. All right, I got into therapy. It wasn't that I was hurting people, but it was more or less the fact that I was hurting my own self, right? And it was almost like as much as I wasn't taking it out on people or looking for people to take it out on, it was more or less that people could just feel that kind of energy around. So due to that, I got into therapy. I seeked out help and stuff like that. And then I chose to use the gym because I don't want to get into any form of martial arts because that's one way to build up more aggression, right? Definitely not a good idea, in my opinion, right? So go to the gym. At the end of the day, I got to learn discipline from the gym. Well, not necessarily that I got to learn discipline because I already acquired that through the military, but it helped me maintain that lifestyle of being disciplined, right? That's number one. And then it also like keeps on moving on to a different level of keeping my state of mind calm, right? I go out there, I do what I need to do, and that discipline still follows me back home to what I eat, what time do I wake up, right? I mean, at the end of the day, what time do I go to sleep? Even though I don't get much of that, that's basically what I'm talking about. Finding your own form of discipline is like the biggest way or the biggest move for you to be able to achieve anything you want to
Yeah.
achieve.
And what I would recommend to everyone is force yourself to find that discipline through brotherhood. I think that's the biggest missing element for people with all the content, all the podcasts and everything out there. Everyone is telling you, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to find your mindset, you have to be disciplined, you have to. Yes, the easiest way is just connect to a group of men who are doing that already, and then you almost have to do it out of necessity. Like you, there's a beautiful thing that happens, like you are forced to do it. Like I'm a pretty disciplined person.
Yeah. I think this goes into figuring out the ecosystem that suits well with you. The world on its own is an ecosystem. Earth, Mother Earth on its own is an ecosystem. Now, we as humans, the people we associate ourselves with, is a specific ecosystem of its own. This is where it comes into play on figuring out what ecosystem do you want to associate yourself with. What ecosystem doesn't suit you that well, right? Now, if you're someone who is constantly depressed, right, and feels down 24/7, you probably want to associate yourself with an ecosystem of people who can bring and uplift you. Yes.
Even if that happens through telling you that you suck and that you gotta lift more weights and shut the fuck up and like don't be a pussy and like just do the workout. Being depressed sucks, and I have moments in my life where I've lived through that.
Yeah.
If I feel depressed and then I used to, for me, the escape is to go to sleep. I try to sleep so I can like reset my brain.
Yeah.
but then you wake up and you still feel kind of the same. And then I discover, well, if I go run, at, at least I'm awake. I'm doing something that is making my body be better. Then I'm gonna get tired, and then I'm gonna end up sleeping. And I kind of get through the exercise of like putting my bad thoughts out there, but then I'm running, and then it's difficult, and then my breath, and then I have a song, and then like it almost helps you break out of that cycle.
Yeah.
And then if you feel depressed, but you still force yourself to do the workout, which is really difficult, you're gonna be there with someone else. It forces you to like do the thing, and then you're gonna end up feeling a little bit better about yourself because you at least did it, even if you felt like shit.
That's true.
At the end of the day, the solution to any problem is always action.
That's true. Which is also like talking about ecosystem here. Which is also like if you notice the way I've been training both you and the rest of my clients is by bringing all of you together
Yeah.
to work out together. Right? Not because I couldn't do split it up and do everyone train everyone one by one. Nah. It's more or less having someone there, even if you don't know each other. You guys got to get close.
Yeah, it's great.
You guys get to motivate each other. Like
100%. And that's why I'm thinking that the biggest hack that men need to apply right away is go get close to a group of hardcore men that force you to level up and be better. Because when I'm by myself, I can do okay. When I go and train with the team, 30 to 50% more intensity than what I would do on my own. I see you lifting, I'm gonna lift too. What the fuck? Like I'm not gonna be weak like amongst all the other guys.
yeah, I get what you mean. It reminds me of the last time we went to the gym. Absolutely. I was pushing 80 that I was like, oh shit, he's about to push 60. That's dope. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good.
Yeah,
That's good.
it forces you. Like even like today, we went to Absolute today, and like that environment is great. Like it makes you, it's different. It affects your cognition, your performance, your stamina, like the whole environment. Like that, the one time we went to film when you were getting ready for the competition, like you were, the camera is another trick. At least for me, it works because I want to perform for the camera. So, like, whenever you're filming me, I'm like, okay, I gotta like do better.
Fix the form. Let's get it pushing.
And whenever I'm filming you, like, you know that I'm looking. You know that this is gonna be recorded. You know that this is gonna be posted, shared. All the girls are gonna see you. All the guys are gonna see.
For me, I think for me, right, like whenever I go to the gym, even if whether I'm filming it or whether I'm not filming it, I kind of feel like I don't really care much about who is anything happening around me because this is where like the gym by itself is my ecosystem, right? I don't really have much associates or much friends or stuff like that, right? Since I moved down here, but the gym in on its own is the only place where I can come walk into once I have my earbuds on and I start going. It's like I don't know what's happening around me. I can't tell who's to my left or who's to my right. It's like that's the only time my head is completely clear because whenever I'm at home or anywhere, it's almost like there's 500 things processing in my head. And if anyone was to ever ask me what am I thinking about, I couldn't tell you what I'm thinking about. Sometimes it's like I'm sitting down and I'm kind of daydreaming. Some of them I don't like talking about, but the gym is the only place where I can go into. Sometimes when I film, yes, I film for to be able to show people how to do certain stuff or to show my progress because I know that at the end of the day, my progress motivates someone else. And other people's progress motivate me as well, right? So even if they don't know me, even if I don't know them, but seeing them motivates me. I don't know. That's my own ecosystem right there. That's what's fun for me. That's feels almost like my habitat because I don't really have much of a social life or anything fun. But that's the only place where I can come to, and I'm like I'm right there. It's fun for me, whether I'm talking to anyone or whether I'm not talking to anyone. It's just me against me right there, right? My own arena.
So what's the biggest lesson you learned from being in the Marine Corps?
Being a family. I don't make friends. I prefer making a family, right? So, what do I mean by that? Instead of calling this guy my friend, I would rather call him my brother, my sister, because to me, that's way deeper than having friends. And friends come and go. Family does not. Are there families that suck? Absolutely. At the end of the day, you're still fucking family. Nothing changes. Family did matter because at the end of the day, being a Marine is all about when you step out there and shit was ever to pop off, it's more or less the person beside you is the person who's gonna save your life. I mean, most friends ain't gonna do that. They will leave you and run faster than it's a boat. But family will, right? I mean, it's just like a mother. A mother will always protect her children. I mean, a good mother. Uh, but yeah, I learned what it means to have a family.
How did you guys were conditioned to learn that, and how did you acquire that with the guide next to you?
During boot camp, there's this stuff called fireman carry, where like you're carrying each other, and it's basically them teaching you how to carry an injured partner out from the field. The drill instructors will be screaming this thing in your ear, where it's like you just let him die when you're unable to pick someone up, right? And they're like, that's your brother right there. You just let him die. Now, having that stuff play again and again and again in your ear for almost 13 weeks, that basically drills it into you. Then the you go to the school if you're infantry. You go to the infantry school. If you're any other job, there's a different school for you. I think it's 4 weeks if I remember correctly, and then they drill the same thing again into your head, and then you go to the fleet, the schoolhouse, and then the fleet. In the fleet, it's almost like they do these things where they are trying to create units camaraderie or something like that. It's to bring the bonds between each other together. At the end of the day, do people fight and argue? But whenever it's time to get serious, we get serious, right? It's just like always having that brother or sister fight, right? But then at the end of the day, you guys make up whenever it's time to be serious, right?
Did you get into a lot of fights?
I think if I was to say be getting into a fight, the first fight, okay, the first fight I ever got into in the Marine Corps was for the dumbest shit ever. I was still fresh, you know, of the plane into America, and I was in the Marine Corps, and then someone called me a motherfucker. Now, mind you, back where I'm from, if I was to call someone a bastard, most kids will pummel me into the ground, right? And that's not even me joking, right? We have a lot of respect for our moms, especially as men, background from, right? Someone called me a motherfucker, and I was like, okay, I got pissed off, and I was like, say that one more time, and you're gonna see what I'm gonna do to you. And he mistakenly said it again. So I grabbed him by the collar, and I was like, did I fuck your mom? Boom, it hit me, and I lost my shit. So I don't know. Did it teach me a lesson? Yes. I think the lesson I thought was I learned was, oh shit, I'm in a different country, so I gotta watch out for what people say, even if it's something that offends me, you know. I have to figure a different way to go about it. I mean, that's what I have to do, first of all, as a grown ass man, and secondly, because like these are my coworkers, not just my coworkers. These are people I have to call my brothers for the next 4, 5, 6, or how many ever years I decided to stay from the time I got in. That was a funny one. I'll just sit there and never forget it.
Did you get in trouble for that fight?
No, actually, no, I didn't.
Any other stories you want to share or anything else you want to talk about?
For this show, this show that I did that just passed, I'm extremely grateful to my coach, Ashan. I'm extremely grateful to my posing coach, Tina Johnson. This was the first prep that was the most difficult and extremely emotional for me, especially from when it started, which is, during the time I got the news about my back. I mean, my back has always been fucked up since I was, after I got into the military, it got fucked. And then prior to me getting out, it was still fucked. But then I get the big news. Normally, I coach myself for my shows. I normally always get a posing coach. But this time around, I just wasn't in the mental capacity to be able to do it myself. And I also wasn't in the mental capacity to just worry about anything else because I had my own clients, I was working, and I was also in school as well.
You
And
also don't see what you don't see. I think it's hard for people to accept that, hey, I need a coach. Dude, if Michael Jordan had a coach,
yeah,
everyone needs a coach.
why couldn't you get one? You know?
Yeah, and you see it with all the athletes. It's awesome. Like, it's funny how professional athletes seek out the best coaches, and then we are dumb enough to be like, no, I can train myself. I don't want a coach.
Yeah.
It's like, don't be a
I mean,
dumb.
have I seen people who did it by themselves and succeed? Absolutely. I mean,
But imagine what they could have accomplished if they had a more experienced coach to guide them through it.
yeah, the key word is more experience because it's as much as there are a lot of coaches out there, it's gonna be difficult to find the one that is good for you, right? Because most coaches are great, right? But the only problem when it comes to that is there are coaches that are just not fit for each other, right? I mean, for example, I've had clients that I just couldn't work with. And mind you, I'm not picky about who I work with. Like, I accept every client, but I just couldn't work with this person. Not every client is a great fit for every coach, the same way every coach isn't a great fit for every client. There are some people who are just out of this world and they just could do it themselves, right? I mean, I did it myself for my first 3 shows. It went great, but it just wasn't what I want. To me, counted as a loss. If I kept on going, could I have achieved it eventually? Yes.
Because I saw you through a couple coaching sessions,
Yeah.
and the coaches were like, in a matter of 15 minutes, your posting went from like okay to like wow.
Yeah, I mean, when it came to posing, I always had a posing coach, right? But when I'm talking about a coach, I'm talking about a prep coach, right? That's a whole different ball game. That's the person who does your meal plan, the person who sends you your workout plan, the person who, tells you, okay, I, we need to change something about how your physique looks. We need to dial in on this. Like that's what I'm talking about. Right. So it's a little bit different because like most coaches are great at coaching but are not good at posing. Some coaches are good at posing but are not good at prep. And some you have the anomalies out there who are good at both, but that's just it. So
So now, in your case, we started training together about a month and a half, almost 2 months now.
yeah.
And I've seen a lot of progress. I feel stronger. My neck and my back have bothered me for years, and I'm getting stronger and doing better with that. And like, I need to watch my diet better. But all that being said, I feel way stronger than I have in like a couple of years because of working with you. So, what can someone expect if they start training with you? What's your process and what is the experience like?
I think the biggest thing is I prefer doing one-on-one coaching with my clients, right? Would I accept people for online coaching? Absolutely, right? Is that my preference? Absolutely not. But at the same time, I still have a method to be able to approach that. I think the biggest one for me is so my clients, I get to see them a certain amount of time a week, right? With every program I run for anyone, depending on what your goals are, if your goals involve anything weight loss, there's always going to be something relating to HIIT. Now, the reason I do that isn't because, oh, I'm trying to force you to lose weight or I'm trying to force anything. It's because I started off as a HIIT trainer as well as I used to practice it on myself, right? When I got into bodybuilding, it was a whole different ball game, right? And over time, as I kept on doing bodybuilding, I started to lose a little bit of the agility that I had as someone who does hit, right? Now you can't compare the strength levels of someone who does hit to that of a bodybuilder, right? So that being said, I try to make sure that whatever I'm doing with my clients involves hit because I still want them to be agile, versatile, have different methods of training in their library because I'm not just training you to get you stuck with me for 5 fucking years, right?
You also want us to suffer once a week, so we feel like we are gonna throw up and go have diarrhea and then come back and throw up again.
No. But it's more or less as much as I work with you, I want you to train with me, make as much progress as possible because I'm not gonna train you without you having to see progress. And with you making as much progress as possible, I want you to learn as much as you can so that let's say your goal or your plan with me is 6 to 8 months to get you to where you want to be, right? Now, on that eighth month, when you get to where you want to be, right, and you decide, oh, okay, I want to go by myself, right? You have enough knowledge to keep on going by yourself.
So, what would be your last message? We're wrapping up the interview. What would you say to every man out there?
Like I said, I'm not perfect. I gotta take meds every single fucking day, right? Sit down and grab a notebook, something, or whatever, or your notes app in your phone, and write down what you want to do. When you write down what you want to do, create a roadmap as to how you want to get there, right? Because me just saying, oh shit, I want to be a fucking bodybuilder. How do I get to be a bodybuilder? Oh shit, I want to be a fucking doctor. How do I get to be a doctor? Oh shit, I want to run my own business. How do I get to run my own business? Create a roadmap, right? If there's one thing I learned in the military, I can't remember who taught me this, but it stuck with me. It's called a roadmap to success. Create your own roadmap to success. As much as you feel down every single day and your body hurts or your pussy hurts or whatever, you want to have something that when you look upon in the morning, you have this sensation to go out there and succeed or to make something out of yourself, right? Every single day, what gets me to be able to stay sane and avoid having to do anything crazy to myself or hurt myself is having a goal every single day, right? My goal might be, oh, I want to walk for 4 hours today. Or my goal might be, I want to get to the gym today. Or my goal might be, I want to hit my meal count today. Or my goal might want to be out. I did my homeworks today. Right now, those are my goals. Now, what is yours? That's what matters.
Well, guys, now you know. I hope this episode can help you hit those goals. If you like the conversation, please hit like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. And we'll see you on the next one.